It's not often that you have the chance to visit a 3-star Michelin restaurant, and that often has to do with that it's quite hard to get a booking and also that the price point is pretty high. But today we are lucky, and this will actually be the first 3-star restaurant review on the channel. And even though I've been visiting quite a lot of 3-star restaurants in my life, I have to say that it's quite confusing to actually understand the Michelin star rating system, because I think that there's great variety, let's say, within a 3-star restaurant. I mean, it can be good in many aspects, but can also be a little bit low on others. And that's actually one of the reasons that I wanted to start my own channel, the Food Critics Monologue, just to have a little bit more span on giving point on the highest restaurants in the world. So today we are at Le Bernadin, and Le Bernadin actually opened in France and moved to New York in 1986. And when one of the owners suddenly passed away, Eric Ripper was one of the chefs working in the kitchen and got the promotion of being the head chef of the restaurant. When the Michelin Guide entered in New York City in 2005, it immediately got 3 Michelin stars and have held that status ever since. This restaurant focuses mainly on serving fish and shellfish to its guests, and it's actually a very big restaurant that seats around 90 people each service, and that's quite unusual for a 3-star Michelin restaurant, which is normally a little bit smaller and intimate and maybe have around, 30-40 guests per night or something like that. So this is a pretty big operation on a very high level. That said, the dining room is still very spacious and have a classical vibe to it, and I really enjoy the big flower decorations in the middle of the dining room that really stands out, and the tables are surrounding that center point in a nice way. Digging into the menu, and we are here for lunch today, and they have a great value set menu for $127. And starting up from the left here, you will see the menu is divided on different sections, and it starts with almost raw, and that is followed by barely touched, and then you will have lightly cooked and followed by the desserts in the end. And what is standing out a little bit here is that there's actually a lot of different dishes to choose from, and that is a little bit unusual in a 3-star Michelin restaurant where you will mostly find set menus, and if they have a la carte, that will be a quite small menu. But this is something that I highly appreciate because I like to have a lot of options when I'm choosing my dishes. As a snack, we were offered some salmon roulette, which was of very high quality, and the salmon was absolutely beautifully cooked. And together with this, we had a glass of champagne, which was dry and crispy. After that came the bread basket, and starting from the left here, we had a brioche bun followed by 2 different kinds of smaller baguettes, and then there was a olive bread and a focaccia with some rosemary. I started with the brioche bun. It was beautifully layered and had a really good butter flavor to it, and just to add some more butter, they had a really high quality product on the side here. I'm gonna start with one of the classic signature dishes here, which is the tuna, and underneath there you will have some foie gras on a baguette toast, and that's been on the menu for a long time, I think from the opening of the restaurants. And I really enjoy signature dishes because there's something magical about the dish when it survives over time. So I'm really looking forward on tasting that one. This was absolutely divine, and even though the flavors here are so low on a flavor profile spectrum, everything is really speaking out in a really nice way, and the tuna is just absolutely beautiful. No strange metallic flavor at all, just fresh, really smooth textures going on. And then underneath there, the surprise with the small toast with just a little bit of foie gras on top there, adding a little bit of smoothness and texture to the dish. I really understand why this has been on the menu for a long time, and I appreciate these type of dishes a lot. It's beautiful to look at, and it's absolutely beautiful to eat. Being a little bit afraid of that the 3 courses wouldn't be enough for me, I ordered an extra dish here, which was the octopus with some smoky chorizo, salsifis, mousseline and a sauce vierge, and the cost for this dish was $50. You can really see in this restaurant here that the chef is letting the main ingredients speak out for the most of the part here, and having ingredients around it that will support that flavors in a good way. It's a pretty classical combination here to have octopus with some chorizo, and I really like the sauce vierge here, which is a tomato-based sauce with some basil in it. That said though, this dish was good, but it wasn't maybe as good as I expected it to be at this level of the restaurant. Nothing really stood out here, and I was missing maybe a little bit of excitement and acidity just to bring this dish to the next level. Time to test the next kind of bread, and this time we had the focaccia with rosemary, and the flavors here were very clean and a really soft interior with a crispy outside. Moving into the main course here, and we had the halibut that was steamed together with some baby spring vegetables and a red wine nash. And a nash is a kind of a broth with some wine in it, and it's a very light sauce, and I'm expecting that to have quite a lot of flavor anyway because of the red wine, and pairing it with a halibut that can stand quite hard flavor profiles. The halibut was, as the menu described, lightly cooked, and the baby spring vegetables were of different varieties that brought different type of textures and a nice color setting to the plate. The red wine nash was much more light than I expected, even though it's supposed to be a sauce that is maybe not heavily reduced, but I was thinking that it would be packed with more flavor than it actually was. So this was not my favorite dish throughout the lunch, and it was actually the low point of all the dishes that were presented throughout the menu. I was just missing overall excitement and flavors throughout this dish, and even the halibut and the cooking of that, I wish that I could have brought up the temperature a little bit higher, because when it's just like this, barely cooked, it also drops in temperature pretty quickly, and the red wine nash also there being very light and all that. That was halfway through the dish, everything was almost cold, which is not optimal when you're enjoying a main course in a restaurant like this. Before moving into the sweet part, I just had to try another bread, and this time it was the more dark bread with some black olives. It was really nice to eat, it was packed with flavors and great saltiness. Ending our meal here at Le Bernadin, and for dessert I went with the pistachio creation, and inside here we could find some pistachio praline. We had a Grand Marnier bavaroise, and bavaroise is like a set type of pudding that is a little bit more light than you would normally find, and there was also an ice cream here of pistachio. Now we're talking, and this is not only beautiful for your eye to look at, the flavors here are just incredible. The varieties of the pistachio in this dessert, everything is serving a point when it comes to different temperatures, when it is the textures and just the colors also to look at here. This is cooking of the highest level in my view, and this was just a divine dessert to eat. So what did I think then about my visit here at Le Bernadin in New York, and relating back a little bit to where we opened the video here and about the Michelin guide and 3 Michelin stars and what that really means. And it's been a little bit of a journey this lunch, and some dishes has been so strong, but also some dishes has not been so strong, and that is a little bit of an issue to me when you are expecting to have cooking at the highest level throughout the full menu. So for a restaurant in my view to have 3 Michelin stars, that will rate over 95 points on my scale, and I'm actually gonna rate this restaurant at 93 points, so it's just below that, but I think the consistency just hasn't been there enough throughout this menu when it comes to the quality of the food. When it comes to the service here, and I thought that when we began the meal it was a little bit stiff and formal, but after a few dishes it really opened up and we had good conversations together with our waiters, and they really showed that they are a service staff team that is operating in the highest level. So therefore I'm putting the point here for the service at 95. And last but not least, the value scoring of this restaurant, and as you saw in the beginning here, the lunch set menu for 3 courses was $127, and the total amount came up to $216 here excluding tip. But honestly, at this level in a restaurant like this, to be paying that amount of money is extremely good value, so I'm gonna put that on the outstanding rating of 91. So summing up here from New York and Le Bernadin, I actually do recommend that you go and visit this restaurant. It is cooking at a very high level, and the value here, as we saw, especially for the lunch, is very reasonable. So thank you all for watching this episode, and I hope to see you all next time where we will review somewhere else.